Why men and women envied, raged, and loved. Why children laughed in sunlight and trembled in the dark of night. Pastwatch remembered so many forgotten stories, replicated so many lost or broken works of art, recovered so many customs, fashions, jokes, and games, so many religions and philosophies that sometimes it seemed that there was no need to think up anything again. All of history was available, it seemed, and yet Pastwatch had barely scratched the surface of the past, and most of them looked forward to a limitless future of rummaging through time.
(1) The Governor. There was only one time when Columbus despaired of making his voyage. It was the night of August 23rd in the port of Las Palmas on Grand Canary Island. After so many years of struggle, his 3 caravels had finally set sail from Palos, only to run into trouble almost at once. After so many priests and gentlemen in the courts of Spain and Portugal had smiled at him and then tried to destroy him behind his back, Columbus found it hard to believe that it wasn't sabotage when the rudder of the Pinta came loose and nearly broke. After all, Quintero, the owner of the Pinta, was so nervous about having his little ship go out on such a voyage that he had signed on as a common seaman just to keep an eye on his property. And Pinzon told him privately that he had seen a group of men gathered at the stern of the Pinta just as they were setting sail. Pinzon fixed the rudder himself at sea, but the next day it broke again. Pinzon was furious, but he vowed to Columbus that the Pinta would meet him at Las Palmas within days. So confident was Columbus of Pinzon's ability and commitment to the voyage that he gave no more thought to the Pinta. He sailed with the Santa Maria and the Nina to the island of Gomera, where Beatrice de Bobadilla was governor. It was a meeting he had long looked forward to, a chance to celebrate his triumph over the court of Spain with one who had made it plain she longed for his success. But Lady Beatrice was not at home, and as he waited, day after day, he had to endure 2 intolerable things. The first consisted of having to listen politely to the petty gentlemen of Beatrice's little court, who kept telling him the most appalling lies about how on certain bright days from the island of Faro, westernmost of the Canaries, one could see a faint image of a blue island on the western horizon, as if plenty of ships had not already sailed that far west. But Columbus had grown skilled at smiling and nodding at the most outrageous stupidity. One did not survive at court without that particular skill, and Columbus had weathered not only the wandering courts of Ferdinand and Isabella, but also the more settled and deeply arrogant court of John of Portugal. And after waiting decades to win the ships and men and supplies and, above all, the permission to make this voyage, he could endure a few more days of conversation with stupid gentlemen, though he sometimes had to grind his teeth not to point out how utterly useless they must be in the eyes of God and everyone else if they could find nothing better to do with their lives than wait about in the court of the governor of Gomera when she was not even at home. No doubt they amused Beatrice. She had shown a keen appreciation of the worthlessness of most men of the knightly class when she conversed with Columbus at the royal court at Santa Fe. No doubt she skewered them constantly with ironic barbs which they did not realize were ironic. More intolerable by far was the silence from Las Palmas. He had left men there with instructions to tell him as soon as Pinzon managed to bring the Pinta into port, but no word came, day after day, as the stupidity of the courtiers became more insufferable, until finally he refused to tolerate either of the intolerables a moment longer. Bidding a grateful adios to the gentlemen of Gomera, he set sail for Las Palmas himself, only to find when he arrived on the 23rd of August that the Pinta was still not there. The worst possibilities immediately came to mind. The saboteurs were so grimly determined not to complete the voyage that there had been a mutiny, or they had somehow